What's up, you guys? Hey, thanks for watching this video. I got a really good story for you today. There's like no lesson involved, but I'm just gonna tell you what it's like to be on CNN. If you guys saw my little clip the other day, I was on CNN after the Vegas shooting. They just sometimes ask me, you know, from a medical standpoint, you know, what's going on. But anyway, I want to tell you what happened that day. It's crazy. So that day was like a Tuesday, all right? And when this stuff happens, like, they call you and say, oh my God, they wanted you to be on, you know, CNN. They'll book you at like 9 o'clock or whatever it was, Mountain Standard. And they actually said that on Monday, they said they want you at 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock. And I go, of course, it always happens, just like trauma, it always happens when you're unprepared. This week I was on call like 3-4 days a week. The studio you have to go to is like 35 minutes away from the hospital. I'm not supposed to be that far away, so I have to get somebody to cover. So what I end up happening, so anyway, I'll take you to Tuesday morning at 5 a.m. I get up because I have a meeting at 7 a.m. and I have patients in the hospital that I have to go round on. And then I have this CNN interview at 9 a.m. It doesn't even stop there. So I get up at 5, I go to the hospital, I round on my patients. So it's like between 6 and like 6:30, I go around on my patients because I have to go to this meeting is at another hospital. So I get in the car, I drive to this other meeting, meet, you know, some people there, whatever. I listen to this lecture on this guy about his Everest trip. I'm like, you know, that's fucking great. You have an Everest trip and you want to tell everybody, but I don't really give a shit about that. I don't need to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning to listen to somebody about their Everest trip. Like, I've done mountaineering. I know Everest is like at this point, it's kind of like for tourists. I mean, you don't have to be in shape and like that to do Everest, but there's a lot of people going up there now. It's not like it used to be where, you know, only elite mountaineering people could go, so it's not like big deal, you know. I don't care about this stuff anymore. Anyway, so I sit through this meeting and I have to leave early. So then I'm supposed to have a car pick me up at this hospital, because when you get booked on these things, like, they don't want you to be late and they don't want any, you know, variation. They don't want to trust you to show up on time, so they get a car for you. So the car service usually comes and picks you up, and you have to be there a half an hour before your, what they call a hit time. And my hit time was 9:15. So I have to leave, and I'm like 35-40 minutes away from the studio. So I have to leave at 8 to be there about a half an hour early for this interview. I leave my meeting early. I go outside. I'm like, there's no car. So I text the person who's like arranging this. They don't answer. I call. They don't answer. So then I call the people who helped me get the interview. And I'm like, dude, there's no car. What do I do? And she's like, get in your car and haul ass right now. And oh, by the way, the traffic's really bad. You better go fast. I didn't mention that I was taking a shit at the time this lady texts me to go haul ass. So I have to like cut that short. I run outside, I jump in my car, and I take off. And the traffic is horrible. And it's like, I get on the freeway and it's freaking, you know, dead stop. Now, this is not a big deal for people in LA, but it's a big deal for people in Utah. So it's like dead stop. I'm like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be there. And my GPS says an ETA of 8:57. And my hit time is 9:15, which is way too late for CNN. They're going to shit their pants. And so, like, I tell the person who's coordinated everything, I'm like, ETA is like 8:57 for the studio. And they're like, I hope you can make it before that. So I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm gonna have to rally his car. Like, this car has like the little dynamic mode, so I put it in dynamic mode. It drops the car a little bit, stiffens the shocks, and it gives it like different revs and stuff like that, and shifts at different RPMs. So I'm like trying to rally through this thing, but it's essentially freeway standstill. And I move in here and there. You know how that is. Like, you move one lane, the other lane goes faster. So I was like, whatever. So then I finally get into town. And it says, the GPS goes, you want to shave 4 minutes off, take this left. I'm like, yeah, of course I do. So I'm like, great, I take this left. And then immediately I take this right-hand turn, and I see cars lined, stopped for as far as I can see. It goes up the hill like this and drops off, and cars are lined up the entire fucking way. I'm like, ooh, son of a... So I like whip a Yui right there. I'm like serious rally mode right now. I'm revving the shit out of this car, and I'm like going through the streets, and then I turn around and get back on the main road. I'm like, okay, I'm fine. And then get on this main road, and then I turn around, make a right turn to, you know, on this main road, and again, the whole fucking street is just cars and they're stopped. So where I am and where I'm supposed to be is over here, and in between is like all these neighborhoods, and I'm like, I'm going rogue mode, man. So I just hammer it down and I go through these neighborhoods, and I'm like, please God, don't let anybody step out in front of me right now, because I will be in deep shit, because they'll fly over the top of my roof. Anyway, so I'm like rallying through these neighborhoods where you're supposed to go like 15 miles an hour, and I probably was going a little bit over that. And I'm like hitting these dips and like, you know, going around these corners and all that stuff. And finally I get to the station at 9:08, and I'm supposed to be on CNN at 9:15. Oh, by the way, on the way, like on the freeway, like where it's stop and go, I call my friend, and I always call people before I go on like something like this and say, hey, this is what we're going to talk about, like these are my ideas, what do you think, anything else? And so I'm writing stuff down on the freeway, going in and out of everybody, stop and go traffic, trying to write stuff down. And because it was supposed to be one thing we were talking about, and I typed it all out and I had it memorized, and then they fucking changed it. And so then I had to figure out what I was going to do. And then also I usually call another friend who is a reporter, and they ask me questions and I practice. And I couldn't do that either because I was like doing all this other stuff. So all that stuff is going through my head. Meanwhile, I know I'm late for CNN, and the other people are texting me like, where are you? Well, you're not in the freaking seat. Like the control room is CNN. They see it and they see that I'm not there. And I'm like almost there, like trying to text them while I'm rallying through these neighborhoods. I get in the seat and it's like 9:08, and I want to text like, you know, the people, I'm like, I'm here, you know, whatever. And so they're like, oh, okay, 4 minutes, whatever. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what I'm gonna say. So that by that time I was so pissed off. Okay, not even that. The day before I was supposed to be on MSNBC, and I did all this bullshit. I got somebody to cover me. I drove the 35 minutes or whatever. I got down there. I got a like suit and tie, which I don't normally use, and then I get there and I sit there in this chair for a freaking hour, and they finally at the end they're like, sorry Dr. Parker, we can't use you today, I appreciate you coming. So I do all this bullshit again, and I'm like, if CNN does this to me, I'm gonna that's it, I quit. This is stupid. They don't pay you for this stuff, right? So I'm like, what the am I doing this for? This is so dumb. So I sit in the chair and I was like, fine, just turn it on, let's talk. Like, I don't give a shit anymore. And so that was kind of how I started out that. And actually, it wasn't really the greatest interview I've done. It was actually kind of stupid, and I didn't really say much what I wanted to say, but that's kind of why I was very focused on everything else. I thought I was going to be late. It was CNN. It was the first time I'd been on that one, and it was kind of a big deal. But by the time I got there, I was so pissed off at everything, and I was like, it, just like turn the goddamn camera on. Like, I don't even know who the host was. Like, because you don't get to see when you sit down in that chair. Like, you get a little ear thing, and most of the people, it's like a little talking head thing. You don't get to see anybody. Like, they may have a TV right next to you, but it's delayed. If you're on, they turn the TV away from you so you don't get like confused. You have two choices. You can look at a black like camera staring at you. That's it, because these lights are like, you know, blasting on you. Or you can look at yourself, because they have like a mirror thing for the, what do you call it? Like when you read it, whatever. There's nothing on there, so it's just my picture. And so that's my two choices. A still black camera looking into the thing, the little hole, or look at myself. And so the last time I did, it was nothing. I looked at the camera, and this time I looked at myself, so that way I made sure like I was smiling and but I looked at my tie, like just to look at my tie right here, so that way I wasn't looking at my face. But you can kind of peripherally see if you're smiling or not, because the last time, a couple times I noticed that I wasn't really smiling. I was looking, so I was like, I don't want to smile. Anyway, this time I said, you know, a lot, and I said, a lot. So I'm working on that. It's really hard because you just don't even notice you say that kind of stuff. And then when you watch yourself on CNN, you look like a jackass. I guess it's all practice, right? So that's what it's like. Oh, I didn't even, that's not even into half the story. Like, that's done. Now it's 9:30. I'm done with that. I forgot the night before, the office manager texted me, is like, don't forget about your 6 or 7 clinic patients today. I'm like, oh my God, are you shitting me right now? So what I was gonna have to do is drive 30 minutes, go do the interview, drive back, see 3 patients, go back to the studio 35 minutes, do the second interview, and then drive back again for the rest of the patients. Thank God they canceled the second one. I don't know why they wanted 2 the same day, but thank God they canceled the second one. So that way I drove back, saw my clinic patients, and then I was done like at 1 or so. And then I was like on call, and I had 2 more cases that came in that day. So there was like a perfed ulcer or something, and gallbladder. So then I did 2 cases, and I got home like at 11:30 at night, and that was my day. So that is what it's like if you're a general surgeon and you're on the news every once in a while. I'm just not a lot, but when CNN calls, like, you don't say no. Anyway, I hope you guys like that story. It was a little haphazard, back and forth. Sorry about that, but it was a few days ago, but I really want to tell you that story because I thought it was funny. There's no real lesson in there, except I'll tell you this: Gary Vaynerchuk, all the time, like I have in the back of my head, he's like, if you want to kick ass, you never say no. You just do all the talks and like interviews that anyone asks you to do. And so right now, like, that's what I'm trying to do, is do more like news interviews and stuff. So I just said yes to 2 of them, even though I had absolutely no time to do that, and I didn't know how I was going to fit it in. But it worked. Actually, I had yes to 3 because I was MSNBC, and 2 CNN ones. And then actually I did another one on I-24 on Monday night, the night before too. So that was 4 in like 2 days, where usually I'll get maybe like 1 a month. It's good advice to take, like, that you just do that as much as possible, especially when you're starting, because that's how you get good at something. That's how you develop a skill. So if you're a resident or a med student and somebody asks you, it's like 5:05 p.m. and you've been there for a really long time and you've been kicking ass and you're really tired and you've been looking forward to going out with your friends or going to dinner or whatever it is, and somebody's like, hey, you want to help me with this Whipple right now? And you're like, that's a freaking 6-hour case and it's 5 p.m. right now. You say yes, because that's what will help you with your skill. You don't always get those chances, and so you never know what kind of relationship you develop, which kind of skills you learn in those things. So you always say yes to that stuff. Now, I will then tell you that once you are very focused and you know what you want to do, if you say yes too much, then you'll be doing too much that you don't need to be doing. And then eventually you get to a point where there's only 2 to 3 things that are very important that you need to do, and you need to say no to everything else. I hope you like the new format with the wide view, and I changed the hair a little bit. So hope you like that. And sorry I'm not dressed like a doctor, but I don't dress like a doctor a lot. Sometimes. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Comment and let me know if you liked the video, or you thought it was dumb, or I talked too much, or anything you want to hear about. That would be great too. And then like it and share it, and it would be great if you subscribe to my channel. So I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much for watching these. Take care.